So here's a quick video response to Phil and Lucid's response to my video. Of course, nothing but love and respect to both Phil and Lucid. And by the way, sorry I haven't been on that much lately. I've been very busy with a lot of stuff personally.
Outside of Batman, every single DC movie has flopped from my knowledge.
Phil, with respect, you gotta research then. You can't just assume. If we take Aquaman, it made more money than any Batman film. Hell, we can take Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman made 8 times its budget. Shit, if I want to reach a bit, we can take a film like Shazam, which, while not as successful, still made over 3 times its budget. I mean, right there we have Aquaman, a B-list superhero at best, making more money than Batman or Superman. So, not necessarily true.
I think DC needs to take a risk and say, listen, we're going to pull back on Batman books. We're going to have Batman and Batman and Robin. That's it. Take off Detective.
But DC has pulled back on Batman and Superman books. If you look at Dawn of DC, that's basically what it is. Superman has only 2 ongoing titles, Superman and Action Comics. Batman only has 3 ongoing titles starring Bruce, Batman, Detective Comics, and Batman and Robin. This is, of course, excluding any team-up titles. I'm just talking about their singular titles that they star in. But Dawn of DC basically has done that. They reeled back on Batman and Superman, and they've been focusing on other superheroes.
So if you look right here, Marvel and Image are just the top ones. And then we have Dynamite Space Ghost, number 1. I don't count that. It's number 1. It'll probably go down. But if you look closely, the first DC book is number 21, and that's Clark. And then you got Nightwing. Batman, right? What is that? Right there. Batman 146. Granted, this is right after the Joker art part, and I think a lot of people didn't like that. Now, let's go with March. March, you have Batman. But if you look at Marvel, they have Spider-Man, right, of course, right? Then you have Black Panther, X-Men.
Phil, you're not wrong with showing that, but there's a problem. You're only supporting my point. If you look at all those titles that you've shown from Marvel, they're all Spider-Man, they're all X-Men, or they're all new number 1s, number 2s, and number 3s, which Marvel does. They constantly relaunch titles. Not a bad strategy. I'm not knocking Marvel for that, but you're only proving my point. On top of that, showing those numbers is always context. Number 1, we don't have the online numbers. So many people buy their comics online digitally. And as far as I know, those numbers are not digital. We don't know how much money the DC Universe and Marvel Unlimited app is raking in for each company. And more so over, a lot of people pirate comics. How many times have I seen people post scans and stuff and it says read comics online? Like, a lot of the creators on this app do that. I don't. It's either buy the comics or I read them on the apps. I do it officially. But the amount of pirating is another thing that goes against both companies. So you can take the physical measurement of how much I make, but you're also taking a subset of a month where we know DC releases less titles than Marvel does. So, there's a lot of context to what you're showing.
And I mean, I know this is, outdated and stuff, not really counting these 2, and other than Hugh and Nat, I mean, none of this has anything to do with Spider-Man or the Mutants.
That's great. Same thing with DC. With the exception of Superman, Brave and the Bold, and Supergirl Legacy, the majority of these titles have nothing to do with Batman or Superman.
What I really want to see them put in the same position Marvel was. When we didn't have access to Spider-Man for a while, we didn't have access to the X-Men for a while. So they had to focus on other characters who weren't nowhere near as popular as those characters. That's what the MCU was built on in the beginning.
2 things. Number 1, I know you're talking about the MCU, but let's not act like Marvel didn't have support from the Spider-Man brand and the X-Men brand. X-Men First Class, X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Dark Phoenix Saga, all the Wolverine movies, Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sure, they weren't part of the MCU, but Marvel had the support of the Web Slinger and the X-Men. Second of all, you're talking about DC not using their characters. When was the last time we had Superman have a solo film? 2013. And we've had 3 Spider-Man films since. Listen, guys, I respect your opinion, and some of the things you're saying aren't wrong, but I have to disagree with a lot of things you're saying. First of all, Batman is not the most successful DC films if you look at the numbers. right? DC, with Dawn of DC, has taken a step back with Batman and Superman. Actually, they really haven't been as front-loaded since New 52. And then if you look at it, Marvel's had support from the X-Men and Spider-Man, even the early goings of the MCU, just not in the MCU. Whereas, how many Batman or Superman movies have we gotten over the past, let's say, 10 years? We've had Batman v Superman, The Batman, and Man of Steel. Those three collectively are about the same as what Spider-Man has gotten individually. And I'm not counting team-ups, because if I count team-ups, then for Spider-Man, I have to count Avengers, and I have to count Civil War, and all that other stuff. And again, nothing but love and respect to both you and Phil, but I respectfully disagree.